Welcome back to God's Lore Deep Dive. Today, we will not talk about the majesty of a Tao ancestor or the might of a sage. Today, we delve into the story of a deity who embodies the tragedy of humanity and the rebelliousness of the divine realm. Na Zha, the three-headed, six-armed god, who carved his bones to repay his father, sliced his flesh to repay his mother, and was reborn from the lotus flower. The topic we will be analyzing in depth is Na Zha, the lotus deity, who challenged the Dragon King and nearly overthrew the celestial court, and is hailed as the supreme warrior of the heavenly realm. In this video, we will unveil his Indian and Chinese origins, the pride that caused a great catastrophe, his lotus flower rebirth, and the legendary battles that shaped his status as a war god. Chapter 1. The Origin of the Spiritual Pearl and Primordial Pride. 1. The Miraculous Origin, from Buddhism to Taoism. The story of Na Zha is not a purely Chinese myth, but an intersecting epic, originating from Indian Buddhism and Hinduism. Na Zha's original prototype was a Buddhist guardian deity, the son of the heavenly king Bishamon. However, upon entering China and being shaped by great works like the Investiture of the Gods, Fengshen and Journey to the West, Shioji, Na Zha became a Taoist icon with a tragic destiny, closely associated with supreme deities such as Tai Zhenren, the perfected man Tai. He was no ordinary child, but the spiritual pearl, Ling Zhu, incarnated, a divine artifact of Tai Zhenren whose reincarnation was arranged by Yuanshi Tianzuan. Na Zha stayed in his mother Yin Shi's womb for 3 years and 6 months, a sign that his extraordinary nature and arduous fate were predetermined. 2. The birth and divine artifacts of the boy deity. When Na Zha was born at Chentang Pass, he possessed the aura of an immortal and grew with supernatural speed, reaching a height of 6 chi, approximate 6 feet, at the age of 7. He was taken in by Tai Zhenren, his master, and bestowed with peerless divine artifacts, demonstrating exceptional favoritism and indulgence. The Universe Ring, Qian Kuan Quan, the mountain-guarding treasure of Jin Guang Cave, a gold ring with maximum protective power, capable of striking and killing the Dragon King's messenger with just one blow. The heaven-mixing damask, Huan Tian Ling, a red silk sash, capable of cleansing and binding opponents. It was this combination of the spiritual pearl's inherent quality and the super-powerful artifacts that forged an arrogant, rebellious Na Zha. Although Na Zha's personality was quick-tempered, forthright, and prone to intervening in injustice, Tai Zhenren's protection inadvertently fueled that arrogance, leading to horrific catastrophes. 3. The Great Disaster in the East Sea, carving out the dragon's tendons. Na Zha's rebellion reached its peak when he went bathing in the East Sea. Just through playful mischief, Na Zha caused a feud and subsequently killed Ao Bing, the third prince of the East Sea Dragon King. Not stopping there, Na Zha committed the ultimate act of arrogance, skinning and carving out Ao Bing's tendons to make a silk sash. This act was not merely the killing of a dragon, it was a direct challenge to a dragon king, who held the authority over the 4 seas. The Dragon King was enraged, gathering the 4 sea Dragon Kings to march on the Li family manor, Chentang Pass, to demand Na Zha's life, threatening to drown the entire region. Disaster struck. Na Zha's father, Li Jing, was forced to face death to atone for his son's actions. It was at this fateful moment, when Na Zha faced the collapse of his family and the death of thousands of innocent people, that he performed his most tragic and painful act. In Chapter 2, we will witness Na Zha's tearful sacrifice, his lotus flower rebirth, and the advent of the eternal lotus deity. Chapter 2. The Profound Tragedy, Carving Bones to Repay Father and the Lotus Incarnation. 1. The Sacrifice for Filial Piety and the Oath. After the Dragon King brought the 4 sea Dragon Kings to Chentang Pass to demand Na Zha's life, his father, Li Jing, faced disaster. If he did not hand over his son, the entire populace would be submerged. Li Jing, fearing the catastrophe, intended to kill his own son. In that desperate moment, Na Zha performed an epic act, transcending his childish rebellion. He chose to commit suicide to save his family and the people. It was a tearful sacrifice, an act aimed at fulfilling filial piety and absolving his parents of any liability. Na Zha used a sharp blade to slice his flesh to repay his mother and carve his bones to repay his father. With this act of ultimate pain, Na Zha not only atoned for the calamities he caused but also completely severed all mortal ties, declaring that he no longer owed anything to Li Jing or Yin Shi. Na Zha's soul then ascended to the Buddhist realm. Tai Zhenren, his master, seeing his disciple had died unjustly, instructed Yin Shi to build a shrine to keep Na Zha's soul from dissipating. 2. The Lotus Rebirth. The Immortal Incarnate. Li Jing, the stubborn father, could not forgive his son's past mistakes. He deemed Na Zha unworthy of a shrine and forcefully destroyed the temple. This act nearly caused Na Zha's spirit to vanish completely. Realizing that the tragedy could not end there, Tai Zhenren intervened with supreme divine power. He used lotus roots to replace bones and flesh, and lotus leaves to replace clothes, successfully resurrecting Na Zha. This rebirth was a theological turning point. Na Zha was no longer a mortal being of flesh and blood, but a recreated deity, a Lotus Incarnate, Lian Hua Hua Shen. The lotus body freed him from the constraints of the cycle of reincarnation and the material world. Na Zha came back to life with peerless power, 10 feet tall, full of vitality, and no longer embodying the image of the rebellious child. 3. The critical vendetta and the new artifacts. Na Zha, after being resurrected, recalled his father's stubbornness and cruelty in destroying the shrine, and was consumed by fury, intent on seeking revenge. Li Jing, facing the wrath of an immortal deity, was completely helpless. He was saved by the intervention of an immortal, often Taoist Randeng, who gifted him the exquisite and nimble golden tower of the primordial chaos, Linglong Rui Huang Jin Baoda, to restrain Na Zha. This tower became the artifact famously associated with Li Jing, earning him the title of pagoda-bearing heavenly king Li Jing. Tai Zhenren also took this opportunity to bestow Na Zha with new and extremely potent combat artifacts, defining his war god persona. The fire-tipped spear, Hua Jian Qiang, a flaming spear. The wind-fire wheels, Feng Hualuan, 2 flaming wheels beneath his feet that allowed him to move like the wind, flying over mountains and seas. Fully resurrected and equipped with divine power, Na Zha officially entered the ranks of the gods, becoming the vanguard general for the great investiture of the gods' war. In Chapter 3, we will delve into Na Zha's divine exploits in the investiture of the gods' battlefield and analyze his famous 3-headed, 6-armed form. Chapter 3. The Supreme Heavenly General and the Legendary Battles. 1. The vanguard deity of the investiture of the gods. After his lotus flower rebirth, Na Zha officially joined the ranks of the West Qi generals, assisting Jiang Zia in the investiture of the gods' war, Fengshen Yeni, to overthrow the Shang dynasty and establish the Zhou dynasty. This was the period when the rebellious boy deity restrained his temper, dedicating all his strength and talent to earning merit. Na Zha became one of the strongest vanguard generals of West Qi, achieving many great feats. The combination of his indestructible lotus body and the lightning speed of the wind-fire wheels made him a nearly invincible opponent on the battlefield. He was no longer the child who only caused trouble, but a handsome and imposing war god, with a face as beautiful as jade and eyes as bright as stars, though his quick temper and forthright nature remained. Along with Li Jing, pagoda-bearing heavenly king, Jin Zha, Mu Zha, Lei Zhenzi, and Yang Jian, Na Zha was one of the few enlightened disciples who achieved immortality after the investiture of the gods concluded. He was appointed by the Jade Emperor as the great god of the 3 platforms and sea assemblage, or the third prince, and stood with his father guarding the celestial court. 2. The 3-headed, 6-armed form and the 8 weapons. In critical battles, especially when dealing with extremely powerful demons, Na Zha was capable of transforming into the 3-headed, 6-armed form, or even 8-armed in some variations. This is his ultimate combat form, significantly enhancing his power and fighting capability. In this form, his 6 arms wield 6 different types of weaponry. The universe ring and heaven-mixing damask, his familiar mountain-guarding artifacts. The fire-tipped spear, the flaming spear. And various other weapons such as the demon-slaying sword, demon-slicing saber, seals, demon-binding ropes, etc. The combination of the 3-headed, 6-armed form and the wind-fire wheels beneath his feet transforms Na Zha into a high-speed fighting machine, possessing both strong defense and continuous offense, simultaneously utilizing 6 different weapons. 3. The clash at Fruit and Flower Mountain and Flaming Mountain Cave. Na Zha's role was cemented in Journey to the West, where he appeared as a vanguard general of the celestial court. However, during the battle of the great havoc in heaven, this third prince of the three realms met his most formidable opponent, the great sage equal to heaven, Sun Wukong. In the battle to suppress Fruit and Flower Mountain, Na Zha was defeated by the great sage. Despite his peerless strength, Na Zha could not match the 72 transformations and the extraordinary inherent quality of the Monkey King at his peak. However, the relationship between Na Zha and Sun Wukong was not purely adversarial. Both shared an origin from the spiritual stone, carrying the same immortal and rebellious nature, creating a special closeness. Because of this trust, later, when Sun Wukong faced peril at Flaming Mountain and confronted the Bull Demon King, Na Zha intervened to assist, helping Sun Wukong defeat this powerful demon. From a rebellious child, Na Zha became a supreme war god of the celestial court. In Chapter 4, we will delve into Na Zha's true legacy, the image of the Lotus Incarnate, the protective deity of the common folk, and compare his power with another war god, Erlang Shen Yongjian, to conclude this epic. Chapter 4. The Lotus Legacy, Guardian Role, and Conclusion. 1. The Lotus Incarnate, the Eternal Symbol. The greatest legacy Na Zha left behind is not his military accomplishments, but his very Lotus Incarnate body, Lian Hua Hua Shen. This body, reassembled from lotus roots and leaves, is a powerful symbol of rebirth and purity. It represents transcending mortal karma, childish rebellion, sin, and even tragic death. With the lotus body, Na Zha completely severed his ties to any father or temporal authority, freeing himself from the cycle of flesh and blood reincarnation. His existence is proof that tragedy and death can be overcome by supreme divine power and filial piety, carving his bones to repay his father, opening the door to a completely new and immortal divine life. In the folk beliefs of Taiwan and China, Na Zha is revered as a heroic deity, the central platform Grand Marshal, Vong Tai Yuan Shui, specifically protecting temples and coastal communities. He is considered the patron god of children, ensuring they grow up respecting their parents, a humorous and profound irony in mythology, as the one teaching filial piety is the very figure once considered the most unfilial. 2. Na Zha and Erlang Shen, the unbalanced clash. To assess Na Zha's standing in the celestial court, we must compare him with the other great war god, Erlang Shen Yongjian. Both were among the strongest generals of West Qi in the investiture of the gods, and both have miraculous origins. However, in Journey to the West, the power distinction is quite clear. Although Na Zha possesses the 3 heads and 6 arms and peerless divine artifacts, he was still defeated by Sun Wukong during the great havoc in heaven. Conversely, it was Erlang Shen Yongjian who could fight Sun Wukong to a standstill, even overwhelmingly, at the height of the Monkey King's power, forcing the great sage to flee using the cloud somersault. This difference suggests that Na Zha is a vanguard war god with destructive speed and artifacts, who excels in his role of guarding the celestial court. Yongjian is viewed as a higher-tier powerhouse, with the perfection of divine powers, Shentong, and cultivation roots, who can challenge the limits of the heavenly Tao. Nevertheless, the two remain close allies, cooperating in missions of utmost importance, such as when they teamed up with Sun Wukong to subdue the Bull Demon King. 3. Final conclusion. Na Zha, the Lotus deity, is an epic of atonement and rebirth. He is the embodiment of contradiction, rebellious and filial, mortal and divine. His life is a journey from the spiritual pearl causing calamity, to flesh and blood sacrificing itself, and finally to the immortal lotus. He may have been defeated by Sun Wukong, but his achievements in subduing 96 demon caves and his permanent role as the chief marshal guarding the heavenly gates consolidated his supreme status in the celestial court. What do you think of Na Zha's tearful sacrifice? Was the act of carving his bones to repay his father truly the peak of filial piety in mythology? And where would you rank Na Zha in the celestial court's pantheon of war gods? Share your opinions in the comments section below. Don't forget to subscribe to the God's Lore Deep Dive channel to continue diving deep into the world's great myths.